Happy Monday. What is going on, Dodger fans? It's August 25th. Your Los Angeles Dodgers find themselves in a tie right now with the San Diego Padres for first place in the National League West. The good news is the Dodgers did take the season series, therefore, they own the tiebreaker over the Padres. So, even though both teams are 74 and 57, if the season were to end today, the Dodgers would win the NL West. You are listening to the Incline Dodgers podcast presented by Tick Pick and Fansided. I'm Kevin Klein and Jake Reiner, back and fresh from his trip in London. Jake, what's new with you? What do you want to kick the show off with?
Usually when people take a trip, you say, oh, you missed everything. You missed so many things. And we were talking before we got on here, Kevin, that it's tough to follow Dodgers baseball when you're 8 hours ahead of time. And there was these moments before you go to sleep at night in London where you're thinking, I really hope that when I wake up in the morning, the Dodgers will have won. And to be quite honest with you, I didn't really miss much because over the course of these last few series, we've seen basically a microcosm of the whole year where they get swept by a team like the Angels. And you're like, what the hell is that? They split a series with the Rockies. They sweep a series with the Padres. And then in the following Padres series, they lose 2 out of 3. So it's just, there's no rhyme or reason for why this team is going the way that it's going. It's just inconsistency. I mean, this team has just been inconsistent all season long. It has been a frustrating watch, even though they're in first place or tied for first. It has been a frustrating watch all season long. And you just kind of are hoping that they hit their stride at the right time. And there's still time to do that. So I still am holding out hope that this is what's going to happen. Forget everything that's happened in the past. We're getting our guys back. Our reliever core is getting healthy. Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, Trinan, they're back. Kike, we got back today. Muncy's coming back soon. So I'm hopeful that these guys are getting healthy at the right time for the stretch run. And that's all you can really ask for at this point.
The big story entering tonight's game, of course, has to be Dodgers legend and hero, Buddy Kennedy, getting designated for assignment. How are you going to remember Buddy Kennedy's time in Dodger Blue?
Well, he only got 17 at-bats and got 1 hit. So basically that should tell you everything you need to know. I obviously they wanted him in there for defensive purposes because I couldn't tell you why else they would want him in there, but it's just tough when you have a team that you're paying so much, and we're not paying anything, but the organization is paying so much money for this team this year to win back-to-back World Series, and you're rolling out lineups with Buddy Kennedy and with Michael Conforto every single night. And so it's just kind of indicative of what has happened this year. The role players that we need to have in this lineup, like Tommy Edman, Kike, Muncy, all those guys have been out for far too long. And when they've been in there, minus Muncy, who's been great, but when they've been in there like Edman and Kike, they haven't really been producing. So hopefully that means with Buddy Kennedy going out and Kike coming back, he's been doing well in his rehab assignments down in OKC. So I'm encouraged by that. And the fact that he's healthy for October, which is the whole point anyway.
Buddy Kennedy will go down in my book as Hall of Fame of Hall of Shame, as in he was probably one of the worst Dodgers hitters I have unfortunately ever had to witness. It was like getting my eyes drilled into every time he took an at bat for the Dodgers. So I will not be missing him. Good riddance. Kike Hernandez hasn't played for the Dodgers since July 5th. He's not in the lineup tonight. Probably no surprise. He'll be in the lineup in a day or so as he starts to get his feet back underneath him. I still have very low expectations for Kike Hernandez in the regular season. We know what he's here for. It's to hit in October. And that brings me to point number 1, which I'm expecting in October now when Kike Hernandez, or when the Dodgers announce their starting lineup, Kike Hernandez will probably be the Dodgers starting center fielder.
I'm all about that because what that means is that Teoscar Hernandez is going to be in left field and Pages is going to be in right. And all will be right with the world because then you slot in Tommy Edman at second. Now, the big question that I want to get into with you, Kevin, is this Alex Freeland piece and where does he factor in into all of this? But defensively, that is the best option that the Dodgers have. They have to get Teoscar Hernandez out of right field. That's been apparent the entire season. And they either need to cut Conforto or just keep him on the bench forever, because he has not shown that that little 2-week stretch leading up to the trade deadline was anything. It was not an indication of any good times to come. It has all been bad with him. So I'm with you. I think that that is what they're going to have to do, because that's exactly what you said. That is exactly why Kike Hernandez is on this roster, is to hit in October. And if he's healthy and ready to do so, you got to put him in there.
I've come to the realization that the only reason Michael Conforto is still on this Dodgers roster is because come September 1st, there's a deadline that you are ineligible to play in October if you're not on a team's 40-man roster prior to that September 1st deadline. And so I think the Dodgers are doing the opposite of what they did with Jason Hayward last year, where they wanted to make sure, since they knew they were cutting him, that they would part ways prior to that deadline, and he ended up going to the Houston Astros and could play in the playoff series. But because Michael Conforto has just been an absolute failure in Dodger blue, there's no sugarcoating it. He's been nothing short of a disaster. The Dodgers don't owe him that favor now of giving him that leeway and that freedom to go find another team and potentially turn it around in time, like going to the Phillies or the Reds or the Mets or someone in October, so they can cut him loose September 1st, which I think is going to happen. They have to DFA him. I don't think Michael Conforto will be on this Dodgers playoff roster. And therefore, when Hae-Sung Kim comes back and Max Muncy gets activated, whatever order it's going to be, Conforto will no longer be on the roster.
I think that is exactly what has to happen, because he has not proven that he can hit this year. And it has been a really, really tough watch all season long with him. And I'm with you. Like, it's not just not having him on the postseason roster, because there is no world in which you could make an argument that he should be on there, but he should not be on this roster at all. Like, it should not, Dave Roberts should not be able to pencil him in there every single day. And I think that's the biggest concern that I have, is that if he survives that last cut, you're taking a valuable spot away from an Alex Freeland or a Hae-Sung Kim or one of those guys that would, in other, all things considered, would be on the roster. And Alex Freeland has shown that he can play, not just the fact that he can hit, but he can play third base and he can play second base pretty damn well. And you're not saving Conforto for his speed. You're not saving him for his glove, because those are below average. His bat was really the only thing that could have kept him around. And he's literally he's not even come close to hitting 200, which is crazy. And the power just isn't there. It's not just like him like fishing for balls that aren't in the zone or whatever the case is. He's missing middle fastballs. And that is just an indication that maybe he's washed or he just doesn't have it anymore. Because if you're not hitting those pitches, which are the mistake pitches, then what are you hitting? Which is basically nothing.
It's amazing that at this point, I'm just going to round up. He has a -1 WAR. His OPS is basically 600. This is supposedly a big power bat. He's hit 30 home runs in the past, and he still only has 9 home runs for the Dodgers. So I've seen more than enough of him. I was amazed they even started him in these Padres games. Like, I nearly vomited when he was in yesterday's must-win game. I couldn't believe he was in the starting lineup when you've got Alex Call on the bench, who probably would have been a better option than Michael Conforto. But that gets me to my main point. The Dodgers winning yesterday's game was absolutely massive. I don't care if people disagree with this take, but yesterday's game was a must-win game, because if the Dodgers had lost that game, they would have found themselves 2 games back in the NL West. And based off both these teams' remaining schedules, I have a hard time seeing the Dodgers make up 2 games on the Padres because the Padres have a lot of games with the Rockies. They've got a series with the White Sox. We've got a bunch of games left with the Giants. They're going to play us hard. We've got games left with the Diamondbacks. They're going to play us hard because they want to all play spoiler. And so yesterday to me was a must-win game. And thankfully the Dodgers pulled it out with a huge comeback. Dalton rushing with the biggest home run of his career. I know it's a short career, but that 3-run home run off the reliever they just seem to own all season, Estrada, was massive and a good confidence boost for rushing. We needed that.
Oh, yes. And in terms of must win, I agree with you. I think that they had to win that game, had to hold on to first place, had to secure the season series and all of that stuff. And honestly, losing a series is not great. You never want to do that. But if you're going to win one of the games, make sure it's the last one so that you can get on that flight and it's a happy flight. Or in this case, they just took a bus home.
He goes to drive.
Yeah, but whatever. Happy drive, happy flight, whatever you want to say. It's big because now they come home and they're playing the Reds and they're a playoff contending team, and it's going to be it's going to be a tough series against them. It's just a good momentum boost for them. Obviously I'm taking a lot of heat online recently because I had posted about that lineup that came out where Conforto was in there and Rushing was in there, and I complained that why in one of the biggest games of the year, maybe the biggest game of the year, you don't have Will Smith in the lineup. I know he hasn't been hitting at all, but it just seemed very odd to me to have Rushing in there over Smith because if you look at both of those players and Rushing up until yesterday has really done nothing to write home about at the plate. Even a cold Will Smith, you kind of would rather have him in there. But of course, Rushing comes up big in a spot again. The day prior, I believe, or the 2 days prior, he had hit into a double play.
Yeah.
So it was like it was revenge time for him, and he caught a mistake from Jeremiah Estrada. That's another thing. I don't understand why the Padres kept rolling that guy out there. I mean, he's good against the rest of the league, but going into that game, he had a 9 ERA against the Dodgers, and they have a ton of other good relievers in that bullpen. I don't know why they keep showing us him.
I mean,
we kind of own him at this point.
I mean, at that point, it's like, what can you do? They threw him in against the Dodgers, bottom of the order, and we still got him. So, like,
it doesn't matter, though. I mean, you could have gone to any of those other guys that they have down there. It's not like he was the only choice.
My counter to that is, like, let's say the Padres owned Alex Vesey all year long, and then they have Cronenworth coming up and whatever, another lefty. Are you going to really keep Vesey on the bench every time?
That to me is a different situation because Vesey is a lefty specialist.
Estrada is an all-star against everyone. He has like a 180 ERA against the rest.
I know, but he is the one. If I'm Mike Shelt, he is the one reliever I am not putting in high leverage against the Dodgers. If you have to pitch him earlier on in the game. But he is the one guy I am not putting on the mound against this team.
It wasn't even that late. Wasn't it like the 6th or 7th inning?
That's high leverage. That is high leverage.
I know, but you know what? One of my takeaways was that actually the Padres bullpen overall wasn't that unhittable. Like you talked about Rushing hitting into the double play, but that was with Mason Miller on the mound. They were making him work out there. And if it was maybe someone better, not Rushing, who wouldn't have grounded into a double play, we might have gone to Mason Miller. The only one that we seem to have some issues with is Jason Adam, but like Robert Suarez, Mookie Betts had the home run off him. Like these Padres have a good bullpen on paper, but they've been beatable.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, and look, the tweet that I had about the lineup was half right because Rushing, made me look like an idiot, but Conforto has not made me look like an idiot. I mean, just having that guy in there, and it gets to another point of mine that I want to talk to maybe now or later, but about platooning.
We'll get to that in a second.
There's just too much over managing going on and too many matchups that are at play and ignoring what's actually been going on recently as opposed to just going righty lefty for the hell of it.
Appreciate everyone tuning into the show or listening on the audio feed. Hit that like button while you're here. Let's get to some questions, and we'll also take more questions if you have stuff for us. But let's start with a super chat from Moose 1032. Really appreciate you, Moose. You're a good friend of ours. Your personal opinion, Is the offense going to figure it out and catch fire going into the playoffs? It's been almost 3 months. They can't hit.
I believe in this lineup. This lineup, when healthy and having Muncy in there. And I think people are underestimating how important Max Muncy is to this lineup. It has shown up huge this year in particular. I think one of the things that has been awful about these stretches that the Dodgers have gone through, offensively speaking, is that they've just missed Max Muncy for too long during this season. It's just been too long of him not being in there. Now, with the amount of talent that gets penciled in there every day, you kind of expect a little bit more from this team. And you can't just say, oh, well, we don't have Max Muncy when you have, MVPs up the wazoo in this lineup, and Muncy isn't one of them. So I think that, both things can be true. I believe in this lineup. I think that when they are going good, it's the best lineup in baseball. So my biggest concern going into the playoffs has always been pitching. And it looks like the starting rotation is healthy and they're really good. I mean, Glass now has been great. Snell has been great. Yamamoto was dominant. Kershaw, what a beautiful surprise he's been. Just up and down this rotation has been great. And I mentioned at the top, the relievers are getting healthy, and I hope that means that they can lock it in and we get the Tanner Scott that they paid for. The lineup will be fine. That is my overall opinion. I believe the lineup will be fine, and they will be able to put it together.
Situational hitting still is going to be my biggest concern, but looking at just some of our stars right now, Freddie Freeman has quietly been hot for over a month now. He basically has a 600 slugging percentage over his last 30 games. He erupted yesterday with his multi-home run game. He had 2 home runs yesterday, and he kind of helped put the game out of reach. But he's just been coming up big as of late. He really showed up in this Padres series. He was good in cores. But yeah, I mean, he's got over his last 30 games an OPS of nearly 1,000, and he's in the running right now for the batting title. I know it's kind of like a 4-horse race. You've got Freeman, you've got Will Smith, you've got Trey Turner, you've got Xavier Edwards. All of them have a fair chance right now to win that batting title. And I know Freddie Freeman really wants to win one because he was so short, or he was so close a couple years ago, but came up just short because Jeff McNeil ran away with it at the very end of the season. So Freeman's been hot. Ohtani's been playing at a high level. Mookie Betts seems to have been cooling off. I would love to see him get going in September. I think your point about Max Muncy is very true. Getting him back will be humongous. And I'm still a big believer in Teoscar Hernandez. I think he's going to have a hot run near the very end of the season. Even though he hasn't been as good as he's been last year, I still feel like when he's up there with clutch moments, he comes through a fair amount. I mean, he almost hit a grand slam yesterday, but Ramon Laureano robbed him of that with that center field short wall catch. So it's not like Teoscar's coming up short all the time.
No, I mean, that was a grand slam. The ball was clearly over the wall, and he just made a great catch, and they got a run in that situation. It was a sac fly. The Jeff McNeil thing will always piss me off because didn't they fucking bench him at like the last game or so that they could ensure that he would win the title?
Yes.
So annoying.
Eric Hernandez, Alex Freeland goes to the bench, right? Can be a late game defensive sub.
I hope that if he's on the bench or in the lineup, or it means he's on the roster, and that's the most important thing to me. I think he needs to be on this roster. He is so good. He made a couple of plays at third base the other night where it was like Adrian Beltre down there. I mean, it was incredible. The Dodgers need to do the right thing and get rid of Conforto. Just get rid of him. They don't need him. With Kike coming back, Edmund coming back, the Hae-Sung Kim they've tried out there. I mean, they've got the outfield covered without him.
Yeah, once those guys come back, Freeland will be on the bench. I think he'll be the last man get that last roster spot for the NLDS or wild card lineup, since we have to start putting that into our brains that we might be playing in the wild card round, unfortunately. That's why that series next month when we host the Phillies will be very big as well, because that very well could dictate who gets the bye and who is playing that wild card round. But yeah, I think Freeland is going to be a bench player. There's really no reason to send him down at this point. He can still be a contributor, and pinch hit, late game substitution makes a lot of sense for me. No name, will we win the division? So I'll take this one. I'm throwing it out on record. So yesterday I said online, and people didn't want to believe me, but I'm holding this steady. Yesterday's winner of that game is going to go on to win the NL West. So because the Dodgers won yesterday's game, they're going to win the NL West. I truly believe this is like that 2021 Giants situation where the Dodgers and Padres win on the same day, the Dodgers and Padres lose on the same day. And so I feel like we're going to see this steady rhythm where no team really pulls ahead of each other. And I think the Dodgers will win the NL West by 1 game.
I'm with you. I think the Dodgers hang on to this. This series was a wake-up call. I think what happened in Colorado was a wake-up call. They are going to hold on to this division. I think that they have the better team, and they just haven't been playing like it all year. I mean, this roster should have broken the Seattle Mariners record of most wins in a regular season. I mean, that is how this lineup and roster rotation bullpen was constructed at the beginning of the year. That's the ceiling, I think, for this team. So the fact that they haven't really put it together, and we haven't, since that 8-0 start, Kevin, we haven't really gone on any kind of run, like big run, where it's like we have a hot summer and we just kind of run away with things. We haven't done that this year. It's been, 2 steps forward, 1 step back all year long. So once this team puts it together, they're going to win the division and they're going to hold on to it.
Yeah, according to StatMuse, the Dodgers are 18-25 since July 4th.
Yeah, I mean, that is why they're in the position that they're in. That is exactly why.
Not good, not good. It's not like the starting pitching has been the culprit. I think it's been the offense, and I think that's where we get to your point now about your frustration with the platoons.
My frustration with the platoon is I feel like it has to be assessed based on what has happened recently, because you're not just going to, in a late game situation, not pinch hit for Michael Conforto against a left-handed pitcher. I completely get that. But where you lose me is when a guy like Alex Call, who was their quote unquote big, trade acquisition bat at the deadline, which is to say it was their only bat that they acquired. He has a great game where he gets 4 hits and then he goes right to the bench, or he hits a home run, goes right to the bench the next day. That kind of stuff drives me crazy. I don't care if he is facing a right-handed pitcher the next day. Same thing with Freeland. It's like, you mean to tell me that Buddy Kennedy is going to be able to have better at bats because he's a right-handed hitter against a left-handed pitcher? I thought Freeland was a switch hitter. So apparently maybe he's not as good of a right-handed hitter as he is a left-handed hitter, which fine, you can sell me on that. But you can't tell me that you would rather have Buddy Kennedy up there for 3 or 4 at-bats a game than Alex Freeland with the way he's going. That kind of stuff drives me up a wall. Just play those guys. And it happens in game too, where like a guy like Alex Call will be having a great game, and then all of a sudden you bat for him. Or like Miguel Rojas, which can be, I'm even saying this, but it's like Miguel Rojas will have a couple of hits, and then they bat Conforto for him because there's a right-handed reliever coming out of the bullpen. I mean, based on literally nothing, Conforto has not earned 1 at-bat in a late-game situation. He's not proven that that's what he's capable of doing, at least this year. So to me, it's about what have you done for me lately, and why aren't we just going with who is hot right now? Like, I don't understand that thinking. It drives me crazy. It's overmanaging. And it also puts us at a disadvantage too. Especially Kevin, you were just talking about how inconsistent this offense has been. Why would you mess with that if you've got guys that are actually hitting? Why would you take them out of the lineup? It has never made sense to me.
At this point, I don't have any answers as to why you would see a scenario where Alex Call goes 4 for 5 with a home run and multiple extra base hits, and then he's on the bench the next day for Michael Conforto. Like if it was someone that was hitting 220 with a 700 OPS, like fine. But at this point, Michael Conforto is not even a platoon advantage because he can't hit anything. The only platoon he is in the toilet. So I'm hoping that we really are coming to the near finish with the Michael Conforto experience, because honestly, as a Dodgers fan, this has been one of the most miserable just moments of my life. Like when I look back on this season, thinking about all the Conforto at bats just caused me a lot of misery. But transitioning now to another question: Will Smith in the second half, is this a thing? Is the
I mean,
struggling Will Smith a true narrative?
it's happened multiple times. So, yeah, I think it has to be a narrative at this point. And I think that in years past, it's been because he's just been overworked and he's had to compensate for how bad Austin Barnes has been the last couple seasons, to where you can't really justify putting Barnes in the lineup because he wasn't hitting and he wasn't able to keep runners from stealing bases. At least with rushing, he's a good catcher. So even when he's not really hitting that well, at least he's, good enough to put in there defensively. And hopefully with that massive home run he hit the other day, that is the sign of good things to come for him. But I think with Smith, yeah, it's an issue. I don't know why. I mean, because this year everyone's kind of been talking about how, they've limited the amount of times where he's caught 3 games in a row. He rarely does that. It's only when, it kind of calls for it that he does do that. So I don't know. I mean, it certainly sounds like it could be a narrative. I think I'm going to hold off in making that claim right now, given the fact that they've sort of done things differently this year with his playing time. I'm hoping that it's just a slump and it's not connected to this second half Will Smith thing. If it continues the rest of the way, then that you really can't help but, make that connection. I know you're going to make that connection, but for me, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, because to be honest with you, he has carried this offense pretty much all year.
If there was ever a year where we need Will Smith to start stepping it up in the second half, 2025 is that year, especially with the declining offense from Mookie Betts, especially with Max Muncy dealing with injuries, especially with Andy Pages being terrible on the road, and then Teoscar Hernandez kind of fluctuating in terms of his ability to be trusted. He comes through oftentimes, but then he also will just strike out and flail wildly with runners in scoring position. So this is a year where Will Smith was very valuable in the first half, and I feel like that was a big part of why the offense was far more consistent. But so far since August 1st, Will Smith's hitting 158 this month. He's got just 1 home run. He's got a 63 WRC plus, an OPS of only 532, and a 27.5% strikeout rate. So I'm going to give him a pass. I'm going to say it's just one bad month, but when we flip back calendar to September, I really need to see him start to look like that all-star in the first half.
I really think he will. I think he will. He'll figure it out. I mean, because this lineup is so contagious that when other guys start hitting and he's in the middle of that order, I think he's going to come alive.
Hopefully, especially if he's hitting third or fourth. Like he has to get on base, because Mookie Betts and him can't be 2 automatic outs.
Mookie's been hitting better though.
Sure, but he needs to still do much better. I have not been thrilled with him. I'll be honest.
Well, do you want to talk about him?
I mean, to his credit, the defense has been really elite, and he might be in the final 3 for Gold Glove at shortstop. So I know that was one of his goals, and I think he's going to accomplish that. I think he'll be a Gold Glove finalist. In terms of his play, I just felt like the first 2 games he was really lackadaisical in the Padres series, and then fortunately he erupted. But I mean, that gets me to something that I haven't brought up yet, but it frustrated the hell out of me. How the heck do you allow Nestor Cortez to keep you in check for what, 6 innings? And I think he took a no-hitter into the 6th inning. You've got
It's
a
a
guy
perfect
Nestor.
game.
Yeah, you got a guy Nestor Cortez who was passed around like a used tampon. He started off with the Milwaukee Brewers this year. His first game with the Brewers, he helped set a franchise record for the Yankees where they hit 9 home runs in a game, and it wasn't like it was disturbing for Cortez because I think the first batter he faced was like a first pitch home run. Then the next batter he faced, he gave up another home run. And then the third batter he faced, he gave up another home run. So he only made like a few starts for the Brewers. Then they traded him to the Padres, and then his first start for the Padres, Cortez got lit up again. So he comes into this game with an ERA around 6, and then he throws a near perfect game through 5 or 6 innings against us. I was just disturbed because I'm like, this is the second time this week where you had a scrub pitcher absolutely just heat check us. They had Tanner Gordon, who was awful. They couldn't hit him. And then you got Nestor Cortez, who's a soft tossing bad lefty, and they couldn't hit him.
Yeah, it's just this Eric Lauer effect where like guys that just are terrible against the rest of the league, they show up against the Dodgers and just carve us up. I mean, it's not just like keeping us in check. It's like full on dominating. Like it was like we could not do anything against Cortez. And the thing that really was bothering me about that particular game or outing rather is how many first pitch outs there were, just first pitch flyouts, just not even working the count. And that, kind of goes back to the Max Muncy point. Cause it's like, that's Max Muncy's game, is to kind of be a speed bump in the middle of that order and just slow things down and make pitchers work. But like that should have been what the Dodgers had been doing the entire time. And it wasn't just against Cortez. It was against the rest of the pitchers on this Padres staff. They were swinging at a lot of first pitches and just quick innings, like 7 to 10 pitch innings, where it was just 3 up, 3 down, and back on defense.
We got more questions, and we're always happy to answer some questions, especially fun ones. Maria G, Kevin, Jake, have you guys been to Petco Park for a Padres Dodgers game?
I have, but it was a million years ago. It was like when I think David Ross was on the Dodgers. Was when I was there. It was such a long time ago. But I've been to Petco Park for other games. I actually was there. Do you remember that catch that Adam Jones made in the World Baseball Classic off of Manny Machado? I was there for that game, and we had seats in the outfield. So we saw that play. It wouldn't happen right next to us, but it was like we had a clear view of that catch. It was the coolest thing ever. I love Petco Park. I think it's a great ballpark. It's one of the best in baseball, and a good location too for everything else.
Yeah, I love Petco Park. I've been to a few. It's been a few years, but the most recent time I think was like 2017. It was Rich Hill pitching for us. I couldn't even tell you who the Padres starter was, but we absolutely shelled him. Chris Taylor hit a grand slam. I've been in 2015. I remember Corey Seager was recently called up. They had a good game as well. They just teed off on the Padres. And then I went a long time ago. It was like 2006. I think Eric Stoltz was the Dodgers starter. Agon hit like a 2 or 3 run double, and then Trevor Hoffman closed it out. So they lost that time. But yeah, I've been to a few, but not recently. No Dame, do you guys think the Dodgers need a new stadium? Dodger Stadium is so old already.
No, I mean, they've spent so much money on renovations. I can't see them trying to find another location, but I will say this: in terms of ballparks and accessibility, it is probably the worst. I mean, the traffic is one thing. I mean, you're going to expect that in LA, but once you get to the ballpark, like once you get like on Sunset and you make that turn onto Vin Scully, it's like another hour. Like it feels like another half an hour, 45 minutes to get up that goddamn hill and then once you get to the gate, you're past the gate and now you're in the shit still. I mean, whether you have like GA parking or you have a preferred lot, it doesn't matter because you're either waiting to get in or when you want to leave, it is an absolute nightmare. They've never been able to figure it out. And honestly, like it prevents me from wanting to go to games because of how annoying it is to get there. So would it be better if it was in a different location that was more accessible and the parking was easier? Yeah, absolutely. I'd be totally on board with that. But I think it's staying where it is. I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Once you get there to watch a game, it is one of the best parks to be at. I mean, in terms of setting and everything, and it's a beautiful ballpark, but everything else just sucks.
I mean, I've been going to Dodger Stadium like yourself for as long as I can remember, but kind of dating it towards now the Guggenheim era. I feel like 2013, 2014, it was relatively easy overall to get to Dodger Stadium and the tickets were reasonably priced. But now at this point in time, it's like so expensive. It's like Coachella, where it's like this whole social media influencer thing now where a lot of people are there not even for the ball game. They're just there to be seen. And then the traffic just seems to get worse and worse for whatever reason.
Oh, it's horrible.
Even though it's the same capacity, like for whatever reason, it's just slower. Even with all this automated technology, and you don't have to pay when you get there, you can pay in advance. Somehow it's just even slower than ever, and I don't understand why. But in terms of the question, like, no, the Dodgers don't need a new stadium. Like, I go there every year, and I feel like the stadium is relatively new because of the renovations. Like, I don't feel like I'm in some old complex by any means. Like, it feels like the walls and the drywall and the cement are like new. Like it has like
it's a great experience once you're there in your seats. I mean, there are no bad seats really in wherever you're sitting, and I've sat kind of everywhere all around the park. I mean, you can always get a good view of what's going on, but it's like, and again, like I live on the west side, so I guess shame on me for that. But I mean, to get to a 7-10 game, Kevin, I'm leaving like 2 to 2.5 hours before the game starts. And I'm still like, oh my God, I'm going to miss first pitch. Like that should not be the case.
Yeah. I live like 15 miles away or something, and it takes like 2 hours. It's insane. Jake wants the gondola, according to Moose.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see myself using that anyway. Like, I don't know. You still have to get over to that side of town to use it.
All right. Well, shifting gears here now, I want to get into something that has been on my mind a lot recently because I feel like it's getting into a divided subject matter. Shohei Ohtani, pitcher, obviously, starting pitcher or relief pitcher. That seems to be the new trending question. Where do you stand?
I think it's tough to have him come out of the bullpen and be in the lineup. Like, I think given the circumstance, if it's a elimination game, a closeout game or something like that, and maybe the Dodgers are running out of relievers or whatever, and you need him to do that like he did, in the WBC final against Team USA where he struck out Trout to win it. Like, I could see that kind of being a scenario where they use him out of the pen, but I think if he's available, he should be starting. He's a starting pitcher. That's what he does. And I think that for him, in terms of routine, that's what I would like to see. Now, it is tough when he's pitching a home game and he's leading off in the bottom of the inning. Like, that's kind of tough. I feel like in those games, they should bat him at least second and have Mookie Betts lead off so that he can have enough time to do all the things he needs to do, all the gear he needs to put on, and just not have to just rush. Because, it used to be where, like, back in the day when pitchers hit in the lineup, Kevin, you remember, like, the pitcher would hit, he would go back to the dugout, and the leadoff hitter would wait for the pitcher to get all the way back to the dugout before he went to the plate to give him enough time to get ready. But now it's like with the pitch clock and all that, it's like you don't have that luxury anymore. So that would be my only thing is like a home game, kind of want to have him bat second if he's pitching. But for me, I'd rather have him as a starting pitcher primarily.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for the regular season. For the postseason, you actually have like 50 extra seconds because in the playoffs, the commercials are just longer for obvious money grabbing reasons. But it's like 2 minutes and 55 seconds, according to Google, in the playoffs for between innings, as opposed to 2 minutes and 5 seconds in the regular season. So I think that extra 50 seconds will be a big benefactor. But yeah, where I stand is Shohei Ohtani needs to be a starting pitcher. I am going to pivot in terms of where he should be in the postseason rotation, though, in a second. But everything that I've seen from him indicates that this guy is a great major league starter. For some reason, he has a 4.61 ERA, but his FIP is 2.05. So if you take out all the fielding, defense, and all the park factors, a 2.05 FIP means that he's been elite so far as a starting pitcher. And somehow he's already accumulated a 1.1 Fangraphs WAR in just 10 starts in 27 innings. So he's doing an excellent job early on in the rotation. I think that there's just some growing pains right now because, like, let's be real. He hasn't pitched in a year and a half or 2 years or whatever. So there's going to be that little speed bump for him as he gets stretched out. But that's exactly why you have the month of August and the month of September, because I think come October, as long as he's healthy, he's going to be even more effective as a starter. He's got that awesome splitter. He's throwing 101 miles per hour at times. He's got a nice, wicked slider. He's the real deal.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But I will say now, and I'll tie into No Name's question, I used to say Yamamoto is my 1 and Ohtani was my 2. I am now switching things up. Yamamoto is still the 1, but I think Blake Snell is quickly grasping that title as our number 2.
Yeah, I think you could. I honestly think after Yamamoto, you could go Snell, you could go Glasnow, you could go Yamamoto. I mean, you could go Ohtani. I think you could go any one of those 3 guys. But for me, I think I'm with you. I like Yamamoto 1, Snell 2, then Ohtani, then Glasnow. But No Name's question: would you have Kershaw as the number 3 starter over Glasnow? Kershaw has been excellent this year, but you're kind of paying Tyler Glasnow a shit ton of money, and he's healthy, so you kind of need to have him in there. I would say as the number 3 or 4 starter in the playoffs.
Just Glasnow stuff alone, you have to go with him as one of your starters because he has strikeout stuff, and you need guys that can generate tons of swings and misses in October, especially because you're facing the best of the best. So when you've got tough lineups out there that can put the ball in play, I'd rather roll out a guy that has proven based off his track record that he can get strikeouts, he can get swings and misses. Because the last thing I want is to rely on a pitcher that's going to be dependent on soft contact. And I just feel like with Kershaw's game, he's mastered it in a way where he's kind of defying all the odds and being a very effective starting pitcher to his credit. And he's already hit all his incentives. I read he's now making like 17 or $18 million this year because he checked all the milestones he needed to cross to get the full paycheck. But I'm still going with those 4. And I think for now, Clayton Kershaw has to be kind of your emergency or long inning relief pitcher in the postseason.
That's a really interesting debate, though, because I don't know if I want Kershaw coming out of the pen. I think
we're
that
up 5-0 or down 5-0, just go with Kershaw.
Yeah, I see that as a kind of a break glass in case of emergency. Like if one of these starting pitchers just has an absolute stinker, or we end up crushing the other team, and so it's you bring them in kind of a blowout situation one way or the other. I could see that, But I don't know. That's tough. That's a tough, pill to swallow for a guy like Kershaw, who in his entire career has been our number one starter in the playoffs, like every single time, essentially, outside of the last few seasons. I mean, even in, it's not a great example, but even in 2023, he was our game one starter. He got absolutely lit up, and it was depressing and upsetting. But you don't have to go that far back to find a playoffs where he was our number one starter. So I don't know what the conversations were like with him behind closed doors and what he's willing to do. And if he's willing to be kind of that role player pitcher that they need him. Because otherwise I don't know what you do with him. You're not going to bring him in as a lefty specialist, and you're not going to start him over those 4 guys we mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to be on the postseason roster, he's going to have to accept his role. Like, I would be pretty surprised if the Dodgers go with Kershaw as one of their starters over those other 4, assuming they're all healthy. That's just the reality. And I think there are ways to put Kershaw in the game where it can feel like it's meaningful moments. Like if the Dodgers are up in a series 3-1 and they've got like a 3-run lead, let them go 7 through 9 if it feels like we have all the momentum. I feel like there will be opportunities for Kershaw to pitch meaningful moments. Maybe we can even get a best case scenario where he gets the final out in the World Series.
Yeah, that would be cool. But honestly, it just depends on what he's willing to do. And I think maybe at this stage of his career, he's kind of like I'm all in. I want to do whatever the team wants to do. I mean, I could see that.
Call me _Astro. Is Ohtani allowed to DH and then come in as a relief pitcher? Yes, but the caveat is when he's done pitching as a reliever, he is no longer eligible to bat. So that's why if Ohtani comes in out of the bullpen, you want to make sure you're not going to need Ohtani to bat anymore in the game once he's out of the game.
I mean, that should be the answer right there as to why he won't be a reliever. I mean, that they cannot risk that.
Trolley Dodges. Love you, Klein. Best non-homer Dodger podcaster. Always keeping it real, and you're not on Guggenheim's payroll. Props to the compliments. IV, has Jake been to Pizzeria Psy?
What is that? Is that?
It's the best pizza place in LA.
Is it the Adrian Gonzalez place?
No.
What is it?
It's the best pizza in LA.
It actually is? You're not joking?
I am not joking. I guess you haven't been on the podcast with me whenever I name drop this place, but no, it's like actually on whatever person's world list, it's like in the top 50 of best pizza places on the globe.
I guess the better question is has Jake ever heard of it? And the answer is no.
Then you haven't had good pizza in LA.
Now I have. I've heard of it.
Where are you getting your pizza?
I don't know. Flour pizza, Kevin.
Maria G, who is a lock for MVP, American League and National League. I don't know if there's locks in the AL, but there's definitely a lock in the NL, and his name is Shohei Ohtani.
Who would you go with in the AL? Is it Cal Raleigh or Aaron Judge?
Still going with Aaron Judge right now because he's got the highest WAR and an insane OPS. But Cal Raleigh does have a chance to catch him, so it's not a lock. But I'm still leaning Judge right now.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Jake. Well, I think we're getting down to the final stretch run here. So last call for questions, I think. Make sure to hit that like button. I want to talk about this Dodgers-Reds series real quick. So the Reds are fighting for a wild card spot, so that means they're going to play us tough. There's no doubt about it. Emmett Sheehan's going for the Dodgers. Hunter Green is going to start for the Reds. And then the next game, I think, is Nick Martinez, who, if I'm not mistaken, we did awful against him last time. And then Kershaw is going to start for the Dodgers. And then the last game is Ohtani against, I don't think the Reds announced their starter. But what are your quick overview thoughts on this Dodgers-Reds series?
Well, like you said, I think the Dodgers the Reds are going to be fighting us hard because they're fighting for a playoff spot. So obviously that's going to be a thing. Gavin Lux makes his return to Dodger Stadium, so that'll be kind of cool. I wonder if he's going to be getting his World Series ring.
He is. I saw somewhere that he didn't take it in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move. You want to do it in front of the home Dodger crowd. Hunter Green is a really good pitcher. The Dodgers have beaten him before, though, so he is beatable by our standards. The Nick Martinez piece, though, would you believe it? Nick Martinez is 4-1 with a 1.76 ERA against us in 12 appearms. He kind of owns us, so
I don't get it.
I don't get that either. It's another Eric Lauer situation. Just like he's not good against anyone else, but against us, he's lights out. The Dodgers have to just get some base runners on. That was one thing in this Padres series that drove me crazy. There was no traffic on the bases. It was hardly anything until the last game where they actually scored some runs. So that's what I'm going to be looking for is like, can they get on base? Can they put pressure on guys and capitalize when they need to? That's what they were doing all first half is they were knocking in runs and scratching runs across. They have to do that again in this series. This is a Reds team that is contending for the playoffs, but they are very beatable.
It's going to be an important prove-it statement game for Emmett Sheehan. His last two outings have been a little rocky. On 8-12, he gave up those 5 runs in a loss to the Angels. And then he did better, but he still gave up 4 runs and a couple home runs. Now, to his credit, it was in Coors Field, but I mean, 9 earned runs over his last 11 innings thrown. It's definitely something I will keep my eye on. I want to see him shut down the Reds tonight. They're a fast team. You got to avoid giving free passes, especially to someone like Ellie De La Cruz, who's been having a really good season for Cincinnati. So going to watch out for him. You mentioned Gavin Lux. He'll most certainly want to get some revenge against the Dodgers. And then they just got some pop in that lineup. So we'll see. I expect the Dodgers to beat them.
Yeah, I do too. It has to be a series win. They have to keep pace with who are the Padres playing right now?
I want to say it's the Rockies, but let me double check. Mariners.
Okay, so that's helpful for us. But regardless, the Dodgers have to take care of their side of the street, win these games, win this series. It's just they just have to just go on a run. Like I would like to see them put together some games. A little bit of a winning streak would be nice. That was the other thing too. It's like the Dodgers were not taking their walks, but they were also on the other side of the ball, giving up way too many walks. It was insane. It was just like every time they walked somebody to start an inning, that guy most certainly was coming around to score. So that's another thing. We got to keep them off the bases because like you said, Ellie De La Cruz, this team is going to be running all day long if they can. So just keep them off the bases and they should be fine. I'm confident in this series, even though it's a playoff team.
For the first time in months, I'm actually pretty optimistic and have confidence in this Dodgers bullpen. I finally feel like they're getting it all together at the right time. Ben Kasparius has really turned it on recently. Jack Dreyer's just been good all year long. Tanner Scott looked really good and sharp in his one outing since coming off the IL. Kirby Yates, I have hope and reason to believe that he's going to finally be a viable contributor. And then Blake Trinan wasn't a big outing, but he looks good in that strikeout. God, was it? I think he struck someone out. Can't remember.
He did.
But yeah, I mean, it was amazing that they kept Machado and Tatis in check, and they still dropped 2 of the 3.
Yeah, because the Padres deadline acquisitions kind of killed us. I mean, Laureano, O'Hearn, those guys were good against us.
All right, let's do these final questions and then final thoughts, and then we're out of here. So, Ivy, who do you want to see the Dodgers play in the World Series this year?
I feel like a Dodgers Mariners or Dodgers Tigers would be kind of cool. Dodgers Blue Jays maybe. Dodgers Red Sox would be kind of sick. I mean, to get revenge on them.
Naming every option here.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I was just kind of naming some of the teams that I was thinking
Are
going to
you
be
going
in
off
there.
of more excitement or more of like, oh, they can for sure beat that team?
I think they can. I think they can beat any team in the American League. I have pretty full confidence that they can. The Astros, though, has played us pretty damn tough, and they were super injured when they came to Dodger Stadium. So I'd be a little afraid of that. But I think in terms of storylines, I think, Red Sox, Astros, or Yankees would be cool. But I think a Dodgers Tigers World Series would be cool as well.
I'll give one answer. I think right now Dodgers and Red Sox would be the most intriguing for me. Crochet, tough arm. They've got a lot of young, exciting players like Roman Anthony and Jaron Duran.
Dustin May revenge postseason.
Yeah, and Bueller got demoted to the bullpen, so he might have to pitch some garbage time innings. So that's the storyline I would go with. Okay, let's see. Bidyo Nirex question: Do you think it's time? Do you think it's time to give the young guys more playing time together in the field, like Rushing, Freeland, Kim, and Pajes?
I think that they have pretty much been doing that, I would say. Yeah. They're not going to put Rushing in the field other than catcher. So he's been getting a lot of at-bats. Kim's been injured, and when he's not been, he's been in there. Pajes is an everyday starter, so he's been out there every day. Freeland too. I think, look, Freeland's going to go to the bench once all these guys come back, but I hope he remains on the roster.
Yeah, I'm good with all that. Final thoughts, Jake.
Final thoughts are the Dodgers have been playing pretty poorly recently, and they've been pretty inconsistent in the second half. And you mentioned the record since July 1st has been kind of abysmal. But all of that is kind of moot at this point because they're tied for first place, and technically they are in first place by themselves because they hold the tiebreaker. It's a chance to kind of wipe the slate clean. They're at home starting against the Reds. They're finally getting healthy again. Maybe that's the juice that they need to really go on a run. And wouldn't it be nice if they figured it out right now and made an absolute run to the postseason? And once we get to the postseason, we're ready and healthy and on fire. I mean, that would be the most ideal situation for this team.
Yeah, I mean, the series is over with the Padres. We don't have to worry about facing them anymore. At this point, fate is in the Dodgers' hands. They just got to take care of business. So they've got some series upcoming with the Reds. You got to win this series. You've got more games with the Rockies. You got to take care of business against them. You've got to just beat the Giants. They're going nowhere. So at the Pirates, that'll be an intriguing series because I feel like the Dodgers always have a meltdown in Pittsburgh, so we need to avoid that. But there's a number of winnable games on this schedule, but there's also definitely some tough competitors and spoilers on the horizon. So I don't really have anything else to add about the Dodgers. My miscellaneous point real quick, and I know I mentioned this to Jake the other night. Highly recommend to all you football fans out there, especially if you happen to be a Dodgers and Cowboys fan, because I know some of you guys exist, whether it's because you live in Texas or it's because you just like the winning teams, even though the Cowboys haven't won in like 30 years. But if you're looking for a good sports documentary, highly recommend watching the one about Jerry Jones and the Cowboys that predominantly takes place in the 90s. It's called America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys on Netflix. My pitch to you is if you like The Last Dance, this is as close to a sports series documentary that you're going to come across since The Last Dance came out. There's just so many interesting stories that they unveil. Jerry Jones reminded me a lot of Jerry Buss in the early days. So I like that parallel, and I just like kind of hearing the rags to riches story. Like there was a point in time where Jerry Jones actually seemed to like know what he was doing. So it's cool to see how the Cowboys became a dynasty and then they're no longer a dynasty.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know what deal the Dallas Cowboys have with Netflix, because they also have the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader show, which I watched, and it is very good. So you could do a double feature. I've not seen the Cowboys one yet, but I really do want to, because you've sold me on it. But both of those series are great, and I think Netflix does a really good job with sports. They really do. They make it seem like you're watching a feature film when you're watching a documentary on sports, and I really love the way that they do things. So I'm in for that documentary for sure.
I want Netflix to take over Major League Baseball. I've decided.
Yeah, if it means that they're going to get rid of ESPN in that broadcast, I am so with you. Every time a national broadcast is on ESPN for baseball, I want to tear my hair out. Get Carl Ravitch, Eduardo Perez, get those guys out of there. They are terrible.
Get rid of ESPN. Get rid of Peacock. My God, Peacock that was the worst sporting experience that I can remember in a long time. What was it, Dodgers and Rays or something on Peacock?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Or sorry, that one was bad, but I'm actually having a brain fart. The worst one that actually overtook Peacock, I got to correct myself, Roku. That was the one that I'm thinking about. That was just awful. The broadcast sucked. The graphics were elementary. There was like these weird commercial lags, and then it would freeze, and it was like the game was ongoing, but then Roku was frozen, so I'd have to close the app and then go back in. That was just an awful experience.
Yeah. Horrible. I think, well, Netflix is kind of getting into the more of the live sports arena. Yes. So maybe that means that baseball is next. They just have to get a good broadcast team in there. That is a big thing. I mean, when you have a good broadcast team in there, it makes everything else better.
Justin Turner will be the Dodgers' main broadcaster next year. You heard it from me first.
Okay.
That's not a confirmation. That's all speculation, folks.
He has to retire first. You realize that, right?
Well, based off this season, he better retire, because his numbers are ugly. Well, appreciate everyone tuning in to another episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast. We're in a good mood today because the Dodgers are tied for first place with the Padres for the NL West. So if you're listening on the audio feed, appreciate all you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment below. Let us know what your Dodgers lineup will be in September. What do you want to see the Dodgers everyday September lineup be? So thank you guys, and have a great weekend.